Studio is Rabbi Micha Odenheimer. The rabbi is part of this campaign. He's also the director of the organization Tevel B'Tzedek and the founder of the Israeli Association for Ethiopian Jewry. Rabbi, thanks so much for being with us. You know, it's a much different viewpoint from the Israeli government. The prime minister just last week said that these deportations of tens of thousands, it's not only legal because they're not refugees in his mind, but it's needed for safety and Israeli security. What do you say?
I don't know how he can say that they're not refugees because the Israeli government has not checked. We're signed on an international agreement that actually was created because of what happened to Jews in the Holocaust, saying that people come and they're asylum seekers. We have to give a thorough check of whether they're refugees or not. In Canada, for example, 97% of Eritreans who reach there are eventually given refugee status after a thorough search of their claims.
Do you think
we're not doing that?
Rabbi, some of the writers who are part of this campaign, even some rabbis, they're drawing allusions, direct metaphors to Nazi Germany, even the Holocaust, warning about no one standing up for these. Do you think that metaphor is accurate? Is it fair?
I think it's going a bit too far to talk about the Holocaust. This is not a Holocaust, but it is something that I think is.
Some say if they're deported, they face certain death. That's why they use that.
I wouldn't say certain death, but certainly to be sent back to Africa and not have any status there means that they'll be trying to make a route somewhere to get either back home or to Europe, and they will face grave dangers. As my friend Yossi Klein-Alevi said, I think very aptly, to send them out without checking whether they really are refugees is a crime against Jewish history.
And from that aspect, because part of this campaign is Jewish authors, Jewish poets, Jewish religious leaders.
That's right.
Why is that important? What about Judaism, in your mind, is inspiring this campaign?
Well, Judaism is, we are in a struggle for what is Jewish identity. Is Judaism only to be kosher and Shabbat and not to care about anyone unless they're Jewish? Is that what Jewishness is? Or is Jewishness mean that we care even more about other people because we are Jewish? And I think this reaches the very soul of Judaism. The Torah says that if a slave runs away from his master, he is to live with you, imcha yoshev b'kirbecha, in the midst of you, not in Rwanda and not in Uganda, nowhere else. And to create a new kind of Torah or teaching that basically says, oh, we only care about ritual things. We only care about things that separate us from others. And we don't care about the great Chilul Hashem, or kind of defamation of Israel that will occur because we're sending out 40,000 people, Africans, Dafka Africans from Israel. I think this is a very, very wrong direction for Judaism.
Well, can I ask quickly, our counter-argument to that, Likud party members, supporters say that they're actually challenging the Jewish state. They're not Jewish, you know, that they're challenging the identity, the very core of being Israeli by them being here.
If our Israeliness cannot include 35,000, 40,000 African refugees that clawed their way here and at the great risk to their life through Sinai, many of them died, raped, if we can't include them, then I think our Judaism has become too small.
And so tell us a little bit more about the letter-writing campaign specifically. We know that there's demonstrations, but the letter-writing campaign is done a little bit differently. Tell us how it's working and who you're hoping to reach.
Well, we're hoping, first of all, that that people will understand that the moral authority of the Jewish people and people who do not have other interests, because there are big business interests also to send the refugees out. But people who are really looking at what's good for the Jewish people are willing to stand up and say, keep those people here. Don't defame the state of Israel by breaking an international agreement on refugees that was signed by Israel, pushed by Israel, in the shadow of the Holocaust.
All right. Rabbi, thanks so much for being with us. Again, the founder of the Israeli Association for Ethiopian Jewry. Thank you so much for your analysis on i24NEWS.
And Tevel B'Tzedek.
And Tevel B'Tzedek. Stay here for